So goals are typically the order of a new year. You see things like 12-week plan, H1, H2, Q1, Q2, and the question is, what are we doing this year? Maybe I can call you friend or lover. So this video will be focused on how to actually set goals that we can achieve as creative entrepreneurs in the year 2024. One thing you should know about me is that I actually love goals. I love dreaming, I love planning, I love imagining the future, and I can stay an entire day just daydreaming about things that I want to achieve. So there's a scripture that I like to keep very close to me when I start feeling as though the things I'm doing are too much or my dreams are too unrealistic or out of scope. And this is actually from Genesis 13 verse 14. After Lot had gone, the Lord said to Abram, "Look as far as you can see in every direction, north and south, east and west. I'm giving all this land to you, as far as you can see, to you and your descendants, as permanent possession." And then when I read this scripture, I just think about the fact that Abram, there's only so much that he could actually see with his physical eye. I mean, he could have been in his tent when God was speaking to him. And even if he was outside, there's only so much that I can see in my actual vicinity. So this was really talking about his mind's eye. How far can your mind's eye actually get to? How far can you imagine? The word says that he should look in every direction, in north, east, south, west. What could he actually see? Like, what is the actual scope of a human being's eye in every direction? God promised him so much more than his physical eye could see. So whenever I start to feel like my goals are so unrealistic or out of bound, I just always reference this. We've already been made a promise about the things that we can achieve and the things that God is going to bless us with. So the question now comes down to, how do we actually make goals that are realistic, goals that are achievable, especially as creative entrepreneurs? Over time, there's been a lot of frameworks when it comes to like productivity and goal setting, and there's so many ways that people have referenced creating goals and productivity. But there's one particular one that kind of stands the test of time, and you'd find in so many ways it is applicable in all of these other frameworks, and that is setting SMART goals. SMART. That's an acronym. SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And I think that when it comes to setting goals in general, all of these metrics are very key, and that's why you hear things like a 12-week plan. The T is very important because there's a time that you've assigned to how you want to achieve these things. What are our goals? I like to work back. I like to work from the biggest thing that I can imagine and then how to actually break it down. One of the goals that I would say for this year for me was to get back on YouTube and actively shoot videos and just make sure that I'm constantly like putting out content that I know people would find useful. I know that I want to get back on YouTube, and that's pretty specific. But then I can even make it more specific and say, how often do I want to show up on YouTube? Do I want to show up once a month or every week? So that is actually now the S from SMART, being like knowing your goals and then making them very specific. Measurable really just talks about metrics. So if I say that I want to show up on YouTube consistently in 2024, how do I actually measure that I'm really doing this? It works hand in hand. So I have a specific goal, then I know that these are the things that I'm doing to measure them. If I'm showing up once a week for the entire year, then I'm able to like measure. If I don't show up this week, then I know that I haven't hit my goal for the week. Or say you want to grow your business and you want to make 10 million naira monthly. That's a specific goal, and there's also a figure to measure that with. You know, it's like easy to say I want to make money from my business, but actually having that figure to really put as a benchmark for your business goals is such a great way to determine what it is you want to do exactly. I think in as much as we want to dream big, and that is great, we should always keep doing that. But in a time frame, it's good to also understand things that are actually achievable to us, right? And work in tandem with those things. If you are always like looking forward to goals that are not really in your vicinity, or setting goals that are not really in your immediate vicinity, it can feel very overwhelming and it can feel like you're not actually doing anything. You know, like if, as I've said, my grander goal is to like make 100 million naira in my business, or $10,000 or $50,000 for my business. But I guess in my capacity at this moment, being that, first of all, who are the people that I've catered to in the past year, and how can I multiply that, and what are my services, and at the same time, like, what are the products that I'm selling? Are my products scalable to a point that I can actually make like $50,000? So that might be a goal for the future, but that might not also be what is achievable for me now. So many of these points are intertwined, and that's just to show you how important they are to actually setting goals that make sense. Like I talked about earlier, that it's great that we see things from a bigger perspective. So the things that I'm doing now, are they helping me to actually get to that point? Like everything that we're doing and all of the things we're prioritizing this year should fit into that long-term goal, should fit into the grand scheme of things, right? Like I cannot say today that I want to be the president of Nigeria in 2024. That's not possible. I mean, that can be something that would be for the future, but it's not something that is actually in tandem with my goal this year for my business or for my personal growth or for anybody around me. It can be something that I can aspire to later on. And finally, we need to talk about goals being time bound. And that's where the concept of like Q1, Q2, I think when you work in like the corporate space or you work with a company, you tend to see things like this a bit more. Goals are now tied to timelines. So I know that in February, I want to consistently post every week. So I want to launch a new campaign, maybe for my clothing brand, Emily's Sweet Silk. So I know that in the first quarter of the year, that is something that I intend to do. So it means that everything that I'm doing in terms of like looking for styles and thinking about ideas and sourcing for fabrics, all of those things, right, are in line with that. It is time bound for me that at the first quarter I need to have achieved this. I hope that this video has been helpful. If it has, let me know in the comment section. Let me know how you intend to set your goals for the year and how you intend to implement this framework. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.